All right, so I was a nerd this morning and I spent like a few hours updating my HRCYED stuff based off what I've read the past 2 months, and also figuring out what I need to read over the next 4 months to get this accomplished. And I have it down to like 32-ish books, which is doable. Like, I do read about 8 books a month, and some of these are really short. And I have a plan for almost everything. So let's just, like, it's not going to be perfect. It's going to be tight, but I think this is going to be delicious. Like, in terms of a challenge, like, it's challenging and doable. It is very that motivating center point. So let me share my screen and let's go over what I have and my plans. All right, when we last checked in, I had 73 to 180 prompts left. I'm now at about 55 prompts left. I still have plenty of points to play with. Like, I could short a square, I can triple up and stuff. I'm not going to use those till we're like game time at the end, but I'm doing pretty well. I've got 8 squares. We definitely didn't have as many squares last time, and there's a few that I'm almost done with. Like animals, I only need 1 for, and we'll see that. Same with spooky creatures. So I'm making moves here. I'm making waves. I'm pretty proud of it. And like, here's my list of books, and we'll talk about them as we go through the squares. The reason why it's not 28 and why it's 32 is I put 4 books in one spot. And actually, it could be less than that, depending on how things shake out. So here's by the hundreds. I only have 2 books left for this. One that's going to be a 200-page. That will just naturally happen. I know this. One of the prompts that I have for a specific goal will probably be 200 pages to 300 pages, either from my book club or the book that I'm currently reading. Something will go here. I don't have to think about it. The 600-page book, I had to put some thought into. My worst case scenario is I've been rereading the Rook and the Rose series, and all the Rook and the Rose books would fit here. I would use points for a reread, and that could work. I want to try and not do that, and I was doing this while looking at notes, and I don't want to do Best Served Cold, so I'm probably going to do a Mariana Zapata, and it's probably going to be Wait for It, because that actually kind of excites me. And it would work for the pink prompt as well if I need to. So that's my plan for By the Hundreds. So super close there. I just did the 24-hour readathon recently. That's when I read last Saturday Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow, and a lot of you dreamed of empires. So I did that. I just don't read a lot. So like, I can't read very fast. So a 24-hour readathon for me, it's never going to be a lot of books. It's you're lucky if it's 1 book. And we did get 1 book. We've already talked about subgenres. I've already done that one. All right, series staircase. This is another one where I have made progress and I needed to fix things. So, duology. I decided to put the Check Please books here. Check Please Volume 1, Check Please Volume 2. It's a duology. It's complete. So, I put that there. Solo will just happen. I'm not concerned about solo. And then I had to think about this. And if you remember last video, I put encrypted here. And I was like, I don't know if I want to read more of that. If I had the audiobooks, it'd be a no-brainer. And so then I was thinking, do I want to do Murderbot? And then, because of a different prompt, I have ended up with Wayward Children. Wayward Children is actually how I'm going to get this done, like a lot of this. So many of these books are going to help me in a pinch for a lot of things that I was struggling with. They're short. I have always wanted to give it a second chance because I've only read the Horse Girl one in there. So that's what we're doing. Wayward Children. I already got it out from the library. It's happening. So we're very close to series staircase and have an actual plan. I've already done award season. This has already happened. I hope it's a prompt for next year's because I like the award season square. Like, that's just like my bread and butter. TBR game challenge. So this was January. I did a TBR game. I did mini Star Hop, and these were the 4 books, and I have read them. So I did the thing that I said I was going to do. And that's why that square is done. So here's the last 10 years. I realized I didn't have to start in 2015. Glorious. Because I didn't know what I was going to read from 2015. And so I now just need a 2017, which is going to be probably a Shauna McGuire Wayward Children book. I need a 2021. I have a book that's on my TBR stack for the readathon prompt. Immunity Index works for this by Sue Burke. I did, since chatting, put The Employees and Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow here. I don't know if there's a rule about if it has to be the year it's translated or the year it's originally published. 2018 is when Storygraph told me that The Employees came out, and so that's why it's going here. And I don't want to be told that the rule is different. Obviously, you can tell me. And then I put Slow Gods for my 2025. For 2023, I'm on the fence between The September House and Monstrilio, but both of them are interesting to me, and they both came out that year. 2023, if you remember, was the year I actually did the Goodreads Choice Award Challenge, so I've read a lot of the popular fantasy that came out that year. I'm blanking on any popular science fiction. Like, I went through some lists, and these are the only ones that were really speaking to me that came out that year. On my TBR stack, I have I Was a Teenage Slasher or Night Ward. Both of those came out in 2024, and they can both double up for my readathon prompt. And then for 2026, I'm not concerned. It'll double up with one of the new release prompts. I don't know which one yet, but it will. And then Adaptations, I don't think I've made any progress since you guys last saw, other than I have started One Piece, haven't finished the TV show. I've taken Tusk Love out of the library. And I took Buffy comics out of my closet. They've been in my closet in a box. So I've taken them out. I have volumes 1 and 2, and they are adaptations of the TV show. And they're graphic novels. Because I could never tell for this square if the graphic novel was the part that had to be adapted, or if it could be the source material. So I chose to pick a graphic novel that was adapted. So that's what I've done. I have finished the disability challenge. I put To Shape a Dragon's Breath here because there is one of the best friends of our main character, Sander. He is clearly, I guess it's not said explicitly that he is autistic, but he's clearly neurodivergent, bare minimum. And I think is a really good representation of that. So I put that here, and so now I have my 5 different disabilities for the disability challenge. Moving on to Heritage Month. This is another one that required a lot of thinking, because I'm still 4 books behind here. And so, for Women's History, there is a new Naomi Kritzer coming out, and I have the arc already, and it has to do with body autonomy and abortion, and that just feels like, yeah. Like, is it about women's history specific? No, but body autonomy and the fights for women's reproductive rights have always been there, and I think thematically that's a strong enough tie. Jewish heritage, I would love to know if people have read this book. So this book is actually pretty important to me finishing the challenge, but I'm kind of nervous about it because, so it came out, I want to say 2017, 2018, and it is about someone who was raised in America, but his family was born in Israel, and him going back to join the military, but he doesn't want to, and his relationship with these Palestinian twins. And I have no idea what I'm going to think about it, if it's generally well received. I worry about it being kind of like falling into, for lack of a better word, like the white savior trope of some things. But it's very important for my quote challenge. And I think having a Jewish character coming of age story about the complicated relationship with his family's relationship to Israel, his relationship to Israel, what Israel's doing to Palestinians, I think that's very good for this type of square. I think it meets like the purpose of the Heritage Month squares. But if you've read it and you're like, don't, Angela, don't read that, that's like even beyond problematic. Like, I have no sense that it is. I think it's actually probably handling it with care. And then the last book, I'm actually going to use one book for 2 spots. I'm going to use To Ride a Rising Storm, because I assume Sanders is still in it, so that'll be good for disability. Pride, because like I said, I think it's a very strong embodiment of that character trait there. Like, it is something that he needs accommodations for, and it is something that is a strength of his. I think that's a very good way of looking at disabilities in general, not hiding from the fact that they exist and cause you to live differently in the world, but also that it is not something that makes you lesser. In some ways, it can make you have more advantages. And then LGBTQ plus pride, To Ride a Rising Storm, our main character is like bisexual. Her culture does polyamory. Like, there's a lot of queerness going on in her culture. So I think that'll get me pretty good there. So, 3 books. Translation challenge, I'd already finished this last time. I think actually we figured out I'd finished it in real time last time. Okay, Even Bigger Rainbow. I put Slow Gods here. Orange, I am right now reading Operation Bounce House. That's gonna work. But I didn't realize that till after I've already tried thinking of things, but it's gonna be Operation Bounce House. Blue, I read some novellas by Ali Hazelwood, and one of them I think is the right blue for this. Metal from Heaven on my TBR stack has purple in the cover. And I put Cytonic here. I desperately want to find a different pink book that Q has reviewed in a vlog, but I have not. Like, pink I can actually get other ways. Cytonic is here because in all the vlogs that I have been, like, looking at on Q's YouTube, this is the one that I guess, I have it on my TBR. Am I interested in it? No, but, like, I own it. So that's what's currently here. I have the Andromeda strain here, which is on my TBR stack, although also this could be the newest T. Kingfisher in the horror novella series. And I'll bring that up again because I'm going to be using that maybe for a different prompt. So let's now go to Around the World. North America, I didn't fill in just because, like, almost all the authors I read are from North America. I read plenty of books that are set in North America. I think this one will simply fall out. I don't think this will be a difficult thing to do. Recently, I put Son of the Morning here because Kweki Emezi is from Nigeria. I've done a lot of these based more on where the author is from, except for this one, we were in Italy. So for Australia, and I will take recommendations here, but I could use triple up points. I could put the strength of a few here because James Islington is from, I believe, Australia. Or I could read Nalini Singh, who's from New Zealand, and I can get back into the Psy Changeling series with book 4. I don't know. I don't have strong feelings about either of those. I went through a couple lists, tried to see if there were things I was really interested in. So that's where I am with Around the World, very close to being done. Do I think Antarctica's happening? No. That would have to happen by accident at this point. So here's my make a quote, and I'm doing very well. So I need to put an I here for either, but it's either almost done. Sadness is going to be that book I was talking about, Sadness is a White Bird. And then, or Euphoria. And Euphoria, I'm going to read Gender Euphoria. So I am so close to being done with the quote. I'm pretty proud of it. Which is why I'm hoping Sadness is a White Bird isn't like an outlandishly problematic work. I don't think it is. Everything I've read seems like it's from a good place, and it might not be a perfect piece of art, but it's like not a malicious piece of art. You know, like everything I've seen seems to point to that. And I'm really excited to read Gender Euphoria. It's been on my TBR for forever. So, like, this is where I start to really feel like my favorite parts of this challenge, where it is helping me prioritize things that I've been meaning to prioritize, but just haven't. Spooky creatures. This is also why Wayward Children showed up here. So I put here, Reread the Deep. I could use reread points. I could simply do that. But I believe book 3 of Wayward Children, we have a character who, if not a merfolk now, was a merfolk in her world, and gosh darn it if I'm not going to count that. Because you know what? The only person who writes mermaids a lot is Seanan McGuire. Like, there are other books, but a lot of them are young adult, which is not the genre I read a lot. It's just not as popular as a bunch of these creatures. And I did look into the Encrypted series, and I couldn't figure out when the Finfolk showed up. And they're longer than the Wayward Children. So in general, Wayward Children just seemed more attractive to me. So that's the plan there. So one book away there. We've already done Become the Avatar. And I think, how did I do? I think I did this with stuff that's in the picture, like clouds, fire, earthy things, and there's water over there. I think that's how I generally did it. I'm still working on the Readathon challenge, but I'm up to date. I just, each month, I'll read another one. Like right now, this month's was Author I Haven't Read Before, Future's Edge. Already done it. And I've talked about earlier other ones that are on my stack. I don't know when or if I'll get to those that are on my stack, but they are there. Animals, I'm one away. I'm going to read Isle of the Emberdark by Brandon Sanderson because the birds are exotic pets, and it works for a Q recommendation prompt for the last square. And then Queer Alphabet. I have 3 spots left. I heard this was the deal. This was the one I was like, okay, it has to be Wayward Children now. Apparently, the main character in the first book is asexual. And I have not... most of this I've just stumbled upon. I haven't done a lot of research for this. Luckily, a lot of the books I read just happen to have good queer representation. But I hadn't found an asexual character. A lot of times because it's not that they're not on page, but it's maybe not a plot point, so it's not like a character's just gonna say out of nowhere, I'm asexual. Like, it's not like a thing. But Every Heart a Doorway is known for a lot of its diverse representation, so I'm not surprised that that's there. I'm going to use Gender Euphoria, I believe, for gender fluid, and then What Stalks the Deep by T. Kingfisher for non-binary. And that's when I realized What Stalks the Deep, mostly a white cover, could work for the white cover, so that if I don't get to Andromeda Strain, that could work, and it frees me up a book. It actually takes me to 31 books instead of 32 books. And again, another novella. And again, this could all change if, I stumble upon a book that just happens to have the representation. I feel like a lot of these, I just don't know if they have it already. The reason I read Check Please is one of the original HRCYED prompts was to finish a completed webcomic. That is Check Please, and I actually had never finished it. I've been meaning to finish it. I never did. Again, this challenge makes me do things that I've been meaning to do. And so I used a reread for Check Please, because I had read that first volume, and then I recently, just this morning, finished the second volume, and it was delightful. And I think I get the heated rivalry hype, but it doesn't come close to touching how I think Check Please is so good. Like, I think Check Please does a lot of the complexities of the issues with being queer in a sport where queerness isn't really a thing, and coming out and having a relationship, but also with so much joy. And I know there is joy in heated rivalry, but it feels more joyful in Check Please. BIPOC challenge, I only have 3 left. This will, again, I think simply happen. I've only been putting books here after I haven't put them somewhere else. And honestly, we even have like a pretty diverse array. I haven't actually doubled up on anything yet. Like, We Will Rise Again has a whole host of representations. Oh no, I did double up. Faithless and The Reformatory. So like, I know that this will happen. New releases. So We Will Rise Again was December, although I could have put, what's it called? Slow Gods here. And City of Others was my January. The Bounce House, Operation Bounce House will go here. And I do have plans. March is going to be Seasons of Glass and Iron by Amar El-Mortar. I have The Subtle Art of Folding Space by John Chu, which I am so excited for. So excited. The Last Contract of Isako by Fonda Lee is May's. And Sublimation. This is low-key my most anticipated release of the year. I'm so excited about Sublimation. I read the short story it's inspired by. I'm so excited. So I'm really excited about all of these. I'm usually a new release girly, so it's more just nice to coordinate things and have things on my radar. All right, my Challenge Yourself is the one I'm furthest behind in, and I'm not good at this, which is why I am not going to make this challenge myself easier than it already is. It's going to be 7 books, and I've read 2 of them, and I'm going to do it. I said 7 different Spanish-speaking countries. So soon I will be doing Spain. I'm doing Spain for my book club next month. We're reading Discontent. And I have a bunch of others on my TBR. So I have Somebody is Walking on Your Grave that I'm going to be using for the nonfiction square. I have No Place to Bury Your Dead on my physical TBR. It's a Venezuelan author. I have Pink Slime, which is on my TBR stack. I have House of the Spirits, which is on my TBR stack. And so I also put the Hachepoya here because I do have that on my TBR as well. And I do have a Peru book on my TBR. I'm just the least interested in that one. So recently I got You Dreamed of Empires, Mexico, and I did expand this to 7 different Spanish-speaking countries. Before I just had it for South America, but I wanted to include more countries. And also I needed to accept that I was constrained by what I had available, and this was a very challenging square that I set up for myself. For the nonfiction challenge, I recently got essays with The Origin of Others, and Someone is Walking on Your Grave. It's like a travel nonfiction. She goes to different cemeteries and talks about their history, things like that. Currently, I'm thinking the last one will be a science nonfiction. And potentially Never Home Alone. I think Laura in my Discord was talking about it, and I teach microbiology, and I think not only will I find it very interesting, just because I think science things are interesting, but learning about microorganisms in the home and being able to like weave that into lecture material, I think would be very cool. So that's the nonfiction square. And then we've got, I think this is the last square, Q's reviews, so that's where Cytonic and Ember Dark show up. And so yeah, that's the plan, guys. And so yes, there's a lot of squares I haven't filled in, but I realistically only need these books. And I think since a lot of them are short, I'll also still be able to read a bunch of stuff that don't necessarily work for these hyper-specific prompts and things like that. So that's the video. That is what I've accomplished so far, and I'm feeling good. It's been very fun. It's the right level of challenging. I still have points I can use to help me out if I falter, but right now I'm feeling energized. Have you checked in on your HRCYED or other reading challenges? Do you just enjoy watching these check-ins and go, man, I'm so glad I'm a mood reader. That seems like way too much work. Or are you like me and enjoy spreadsheet time? Because I just spent a glorious 2 hours this morning. Regardless, if you just want to leave an emoji to let me know you're here, leave a calendar emoji, because, you know, we're marking down the days. And otherwise, like if you liked it, subscribe if you want to, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.